Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Hogarth's Global Astrology. Know your planets, know yourself, or know your nation, know yourself. This is the next installation, of course, as you can see, of HoGaLe's, but we are one down this evening. We're one down this evening. So sorry. Lady G is not feeling very well, but she's getting things checked out by the doctors, etc. And then hopefully she will be back with us next week. If you are wondering why I look like Sonny Bono and why not Sonny, what's it? No, Bono from U2.
Yeah. There was a flashback.
I know, flashback. It's just to protect my eyes from blue light from my ring light and from my laptops at night, which have been affecting my sleep and stuff like that. Because you can imagine I'm going up at midnight here, so of course that affects things. But Lena and I, two-hander, we've got a full show for you, but again, please thoughts and prayers as well for Lady G for a speedy recovery, so she's back next week. But we've got an action-packed show. Look at this, Lena. You ready?
Oh my God.
Gonna get stuck in. So we're gonna try and handle about 7 questions, which is normally what we manage, and some of them are a bit doubled up as well. So we'll just get in the wagon. Lena, as usual, doesn't know what I'm going to throw at her today, so she may have one or two surprises. All right, so let's start with question number 1. Now, this one I'm sure has reached your ears, and this is the George Galloway question. Have you heard about this, Lena?
No, remind me.
Oh, well, okay. Well, this has been a bit of a political bombshell in the UK. Now, for those that don't know,
that's why my brain wasn't putting it together in the US.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bombshell. In the very interesting. So, for those that don't know, most won't know George Galloway. But he's a quite controversial politician, a colourful background. Let's put it like that. Is said to be the supporters of, Hezbollah and different kind of things. But one would say that he's more sympathetic, shall we say, to Middle Eastern, shall we say, things going on in the Middle East, maybe from the other side. But he's a very divisive character, used to be a part of Labour, then got thrown out. And what's happened is there's been a by-election recently, so we have a lot of these in the UK, the Tories losing almost all of them.
Yes.
And George Galloway, this controversial character, has put himself up in Rochdale, and he is won by a country mile, fair and square. Won by like over 12,000 votes, which may not sound that much in the US, but let me tell you, in a by-election that is absolutely thumping. So the Tories got thumped, Labour got thumped, and and I think it was an independent came second. And one of the main things he ran on was the situation that, of course, is happening in Gaza and Palestine. And he is now going to be installed in Parliament. I think next week he'll be sworn in, and he is going to take it to the political elite of either persuasion. So, of course, there's a lot of frothing at the mouth. There's quite a lot of histrionics, and he's a very forthright character, and it's a real cat amongst the pigeons. You guys should probably have a little Google of George Galloway rebuffing a Sky News presenter. I must say, I think he absolutely humiliated himself. It was so biased and partisan. But let's read on him, because a question's come in on him, and it may have some impact for the US as well. But let's just read. I'm going to read Fizzler's question. So Fizzler's has asked, "Hi Hogarth and Lady G and Dr.Lena." Obviously, she didn't know Lady G wouldn't be well. Does George Galloway, and she says here, friend of the despots. Anyway, election win to what she's saying, election wing, does it mark the beginning of a movement that's going to cause major political tension and possible civil unrest in the UK?
Well, that's a big question.
It's a big question. Huge. But you know, we tackle the big subjects here as we're not that anyone else doesn't, but you know,
no fear, no favor.
Absolutely. You know, it's always there's always one or two T-bone steaks, isn't there, at the tuk-tuk truck.
So let me frame. So will it have repercussions for the UK?
Yeah. And I'd love to hear your perspective as well, Lena, on the likes of George Galloway, and because you know you do like a rebel. You know, I don't mind a little rebel myself, but it'd be just particularly interesting what your thoughts are. All right, George Galloway. Is this going to lead to mass unrest in the UK? Let's have a look. Pluto in Capricorn, folks. Remember?
Total upheaval.
Absolutely. Upheaval of the establishment. Absolutely. Because that's what Capricorn is, the establishment as well. Tradition, hierarchies. Let's see, George Galloway, UK.
Ooh, yeah.
Wow. I've got quite a few reversals in.
Yeah, and I had one, and I never get them.
Really? Have you got one as well? I don't normally get them in this deck, and I've got two. Wow. Yeah. Okay. What do you have, Lena?
All right. So here he is, defending from the hill here, or in this case, attacking from the hill.
Yeah.
Has Rochdale got hills? Okay, so this sort of firebrand energy, it doesn't mean he literally shouts when he speaks, but symbolically firebrand energy. And he's bringing a surprise message, which would be in the form of that win, right? Everyone was surprised. He's going to expose the money game and the fact that if you forget the people who turn up next who are held hostage to the King of Pentacles, meaning to big business, to the fact that everything gets priority over looking after people, right? So he's taking that on. He's looking for justice. So I don't think this is so much a court case for him as looking for social justice.
Yeah.
His aim is to pierce this cloud or this miasma over people's eyes in a way, because people are very ground down, let's face it. In the UK, in the US, people are exhausted by just struggling to live with all this political chaos on top. So this is piercing that. He will have some traction, in other words, but he just wants to see practical steps taken towards this form of justice. So in other words, he's coming out strong, but I think behind the scenes, as he becomes part of the establishment, which is always the challenge, isn't it? To keep representing people.
Wow. Fascinating.
Wow.
Really, really interesting. What I want to add to what you've got there before I read my cards, Lena, is that I mean, you guys probably know, but I've been very interested in politics, particularly UK politics, for a long time. I used to watch a TV, intensely funny, totally not PC, especially by these days standards, called Spitting Image. Lena will know this.
Oh, love Spitting Image.
Yeah. So that was meat and drink for me as a kid. We used so that means it got us, you know, that show as radical and as crazy, you know, as it was, it got a lot of people talking about politics, and it often really hit home with some big truths. So got a lot of people turned on to politics. So George Galloway did used to be the establishment, part of the establishment for a long time. He's always been a Labour guy. So it's going to be very interesting as he goes in, this firebrand going back to the fold with this huge, you know, kind of mandate. So here's my cards. Here we are. Spirit is tuned in straight away. Look who we, oh God, what's going on? Here we are. Look who we have here. Here's George Galloway on horseback with a massive win. I mean, there it is. There he is, the victory card. And I think one of his closing things to this journalist was, he was just like, I won fair and square. You just have to suck it up. That's what it's, but it's true. He won by a monstrous amount. It wasn't even close. So here he is, riding literally in a way to Parliament on horseback, full of victory, full of vim, full of power. What has this been like for the opposition? Because the second card is often the opposition card in my reading, and this can literally represent the opposition. They get a full look at this. So terrible night, not only for the Tories, but also really bad for Labour as well. Yeah, because it was an independent. There was an independent guy who literally only had maybe a couple of weeks, if that, to put together a campaign, and he came second. So it was, you know, I think it was a real big poke in the eye for the establishment, as it were, that people feel very strongly and passionately about this. Because if we turn it up this way, this could also represent their power and their vigor, but it's this disappointment for literally the opposition. I think, you know, Lena, my cards echo yours. It looks like, I think George Galloway is going to cause quite a stir. Do you see this all speeding up? This could be really become something of quite a movement here. The presenter that was trying to kind of, and it was really crude, actually. If the presenter had any sense, he should have seen he was outnumbered. And the way he was literally trying to gaslight on the spot was really quite shameful. It was really quite shameful. I'll put the link in, and you'll see how he constantly was asked. And then basically George Galloway is like, you know, I despise the Prime Minister like millions of other people, and you know, I can't sound that far behind. Rishi said, well, you know what I think that lot should do? You know, they should throw themselves in the Thames. And then look, the Thames is turning up here, quite literally. The way I'm going to interpret this is that, in many ways, the government, I can only speak for the UK, we'll have to see about the world, but really the government has been trying to move on from this issue. It's a thorny issue and they can't. We know when the Six of Swords is the right way up, it's about moving to smoother waters, isn't it? Trying to put the past behind you. Here, when it's reversed, it can literally mean feeling stuck. So it's like the government are trying to put this movement behind them, but it's, you know, it's not. I think it's not happening. Also, as well, I think George Galloway means business. Look, he's going to be working hard. He's going to be studious. I think he's going to be making gains on the work that he intends to do. Obviously, you know, there's divisions depending on what side of the political spectrum one is. Obviously, you know, many people support Israel's stance. Many people support Gaza's stance. And, you know, the complexities are, you know, beyond my pay grade. But we can certainly see here that George, he means business. So I think the governments of both Labour and the Tories are going to have quite a tough time of it.
Yeah, exactly. And for American viewers, Labour in the UK is like your Dems. And what people are reacting to, like those who voted for Galloway, is Labour's been so close to the Conservatives for so long, you couldn't distinguish between them. You know, and the same thing has happened in Australia. They're always trying to make the business community happy and all this sort of stuff. And there's no distinction now, and people want a distinction. They want to vote for something that's progressive and different.
Yeah. And I mean, He won by a lot, guys. I mean, it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close. To win a by-election by 12,000 votes, and then for an independent and unknown to then come second in that by-election, and for the main parties to be a distant third and fourth.
Yeah.
I mean that it really shows the feeling. Lena, we can move on, or do you want to ask? I was thinking maybe as a little side adjunct question. Do you think there could be a similar energy present in the United States, or what do you reckon?
I think we don't have to read on it this time. I think that'd be good in another time. But just the comment, I think after November, regardless of the outcome, Americans will be hungry for a new energy. And I think the astrology supports all that.
Yeah.
There's really no time, politically speaking, between now and November, but after November, no.
Yeah. And especially with, like, as you've heard me say before, we've got the eclipses coming up on the 8th. Actually, I'm going to be introducing a new voice, actually, a young Bulgarian astrologer. We'll be talking a bit about that. That will be happening in a few weeks, and also as well on April 22nd, we'll see if we can get around to it. But when the Supreme Court are dealing with the duck and orange question, guess what? From the 20th, 21st, 22nd, Jupiter and Uranus, planet of shocks and surprises, are both conjunct together on that day. So, I mean, expect the unexpected, folks. Expect the unexpected. All right, Lena, you ready for the next question?
Yes.
All right, so this one, now we're jumping in our esoteric aeroplane, and we're kind of going to Europe, as it were. We're kind of helicoptering. So here we are. So this is coming from Manuela Orchid. Interesting question. She says, "Hi, Hogan ladies. I heard that Macron wanted to go with troops into Ukraine, allegedly. It's something he said he wanted to do." And then she goes on to say, "Is he mad to provoke Putin at this time?" I think she's abbreviated some things. And she's saying, "Why don't they start communications?" And she's saying it might even be less controversial for Tucker to drive it, even though negotiate something. But what she's saying here is that she's worried about this provocation, and is it worth the risk if there is a potential nuclear risk to all of Europe? And she's asking, if we could just have a look. So I think what she's saying is, is there meat behind Putin's nuclear threats? I think that's probably puts it more concisely, doesn't it?
Okay. Oh, God help us all.
I mean, if it goes nuclear, then it's like, well, it's nice been knowing you, Lena. Like I said, when the mushroom cloud comes, I already know what I'm going to be doing. It's going to be a tub of salted caramel ice cream and the Golden Girls as the white flash comes, and I'm just a shadow on the wall. It's fine. Because if he were to do that, I mean, Europe would just be desolate. I mean, if I've got time, I'll jump on the first plane I can to Argentina. Not Argentina. He's coming later. Sorry, Freudian slip. I was supposed to say Colombia. He's coming later. Putin and the
nuclear stuff. Swords and wands and
sure. What do you have?
Okay, 3 of wands here. He's thinking about it. It's not off the table. We'd all prefer it was not on the table, but he's thinking about it. I would say even as much as talking to his people about it. But this is because he's now a cornered man in many ways, symbolically. Like no one is winning the Ukrainian-Russian war. No one, neither side. So he's making this emotional decision with all these cups. And this is his firebrand brain going, well, we could end this, you know, like instead of losing it, I could win it. But I don't think he'll go ahead. There's also this Page of Wands, which is someone's talking him off the ceiling. Thank God for that. King of Wands, it depends. It depends who's in his ear now. He's a very isolated, paranoid man, right? We know Absolutely. That. So the real advisors have either been exiled or sacked or worse. So it's who's talking to him now that's important. I mean, it's irrational in every way because bombing anywhere in Europe is bombing yourself in nuclear terms. It only takes a slight breeze and your people, it's not rational stuff. So I'm a bit worried there's this aggressive energy and not very stable emotions. But to sum up, at least the Hangman is here. Yeah.
Very interesting. So I'm going to pull my cards, and I've got 2 reversals again. Like literally with this deck, with my other decks it's different. With this deck, I don't get reversals, and I've done 2 pulls and I've got reversals again. So here we go. Now and out of 5 cards, 4 of them are major arcana.
Oh, it shouldn't be the issue. It is.
I think it is. It might be a bit bigger than people think. Here we are. Here we've got the Sun card, which is normally a very positive card anyway. So this is about illumination, you know, of course, enlightenment and all of these positive things. So it's good to see that at least there's a positive card here. Would put it for it. I don't know. Let's just say the world is watching. We're all aware that it could be a possibility. Do you know what I mean? I think still remote possibility, but no one is, you know, no one's dismissing him. Let's put it this way, because he really is in a prickly place. But if we look here, the Chariot, the card of moving forward at pace and all that such, is reversed. So that suggests a delay. So maybe there is a delay in Putin's
like the Hangman.
Yeah, might be a delay for Putin's plan moving forward and stuff like that. I'm still thinking that there are still sane people in Russia who have influence, at least a finger on the steering wheel. Yeah, a finger on the steering wheel. If we look in the middle, I get a bit of White House action here as well. Now obviously this is also quite a positive card as well. What this says to me is, I think, particularly when you see my next 2 cards, I think there are some back channel conversations here, because war, sometimes, whether we like it or not, a lot of it is like some of it is a bit of pantomime. I know we're talking about real lives lost, but do you know what I mean? When it comes to getting close to that nuclear button, you know, there has to be, there are always channels that are actually open behind the scenes, because if someone's hand starts hovering near that, then it's all over for all of us. Do you know what I mean? It really is. Europe will just become a Chernobyl. That's what it'll become. But look at the next reversal, the Emperor reversed. So of course we know this has to be Putinshka.
Yeah.
So things have kind of hit the skids a bit. I know out there in the mainstream media, you know, they're saying, oh, you know, Putin did Navalny in with Novichok. But listen, I'm still sticking to my original stance, which is that this close to an election, Putin did not want Navalny to be the
I agree
main
with that.
force. He didn't,
No.
regardless of what's said in the mainstream media. He's not a stupid guy. This is the last thing you want, is Navalny dead on your hands and effectively being martyred. And we've got a Navalny question after this. So this has been a major setback here for Putinshka. I think what's happened is that his goons, because look, this is what happens. Just to I'm having a Lena digression. I'm having a digression. When you're a paranoid leader, you don't want anyone competent around you because you're worried that you'll be superseded. But guess what? It has a problem. If you've surrounded yourself with incompetent people, they do not necessarily execute things properly, do they, Lena? I think what's happened is Putin's been like, how did he get that Valentine card to his wife? And they've gone in there and they've beaten the you-know-what bejesus out of him. And he's died. And Putin's like, you klutz, you fool.
Yeah.
Because this is a problem, because it's reminded the whole world that he's a baddie, that he's up to no good, and it's, you know, all of his opposition and whatever compiling against him. And when we look here, look at this, Lena. I get the Hanged Man card as well. I get in reverse. So it's kind of, I think Putin has to saber rattle. He still needs to get the bejesus, you know, up people. But really, for me, this Navalny death, and we'll see what we get, the cards we get next, I think has been a real spanner in the works. And I think he's furious that he has died at this time. He was supposed to die quietly, far away. Everyone was supposed to forget. Maybe a year from now, the world would have moved on, and then, you know, Navalny coughs or is just never heard from again. It wasn't supposed to happen at this time. I just can't see it that way. Anything you want to add to that, Lena?
No, I think we should rock on. Yes.
All right, let's get to it. I can't believe the reversals that I've had. All right,
so fascinating.
So the answer to that is nuclear detonation in Europe, probably not. But Putin has to saber rattle just to keep everyone on their toes. We'll
there
see.
is one thing I want to say from the comments. A few of you were saying you're old enough to remember the Cuban Missile Crisis. And I think we all need to remind ourselves that Russia gave the go-ahead to push the button, and it was a very brave Russian who refused to push the button. Otherwise, history would have been different.
Wow.
So that's important.
Wow. And also as well, it was a thought that came to me last week, but I forgot to say it at the time. And I had a little tune in, a little dial in, you know, with some of the energy around Putinshka. And the words I heard was that no one wants to rule over rubble. And what do I mean? What do I mean by that? Putin obviously wants to rule the world. They all do, you know, like any half decent despot worth their salt. But no one wants to rule over a desolate landscape denuded of life and human beings and stuff like that. Because what's the point? What's the point? So it's a power game. It's very much a power game. All right, question number 3. So this is about the Navalny funeral. So mourners paid tribute to Navalny at a Moscow church, and they start spontaneously chanting that they want Russia to be free of Putin. And I think it was thousands in the end turned up. So again, does Putin really want this just before an election? I don't think so, because he knew if he died before the election, this kind of thing would happen. So I've put here, how will this impact the elections, if at all? And will Navalny's death contribute to an underground swell? And you have the wife as well. Will it grow legs? So how will this Navalny's tragic death impact the elections and maybe a movement going forward?
Right. Impact of this. So, yeah. And another Putin critic has just been jailed for 25 years.
God.
And so,
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, did he get the gulag, or was he allowed to be?
yeah, no, Siberia.
Oh my God! So can't even smell the petrol fumes of Moscow. Wow. God, gulag treatment. It's dreadful. It's dreadful. Because even being sent to a place like that is basically a slow death sentence in itself.
Totally.
I mean, it's just, you're just in dreadful conditions. There's no heating there.
Yeah,
I mean,
a Russian winter in Siberia without heating and terrible food. And yeah. Okay. Well, here we go. I think this evaluation card is both sides. I think it's the protest movement saying, can we build on this and be effective? And I think it's also Putin and his henchmen going, how do we keep this in check? I think both sides are evaluating what's going on right now. I think the repression will grow. We know who's going to win the election. I think they could save the trees used in ballots and just cut to the chase, the strength card. But King of Cups, he will win the election because he controls the election. But the King of Cups, and it's with this, it's also my Biden card when it's positive. When it's not positive, like hanging around this.
Ooh.
He's emotionally at sea. You know, it's not a stable. This is a fluid situation. This is not a king who's on solid ground.
Card, yeah.
I think the oligarchs, big money, could come into play. This is after the election more. But look what happens. He's not going anywhere right now. However, magician, it's like on a time delay. It's not going to happen before this election, but I think, let's say this is Navalny and others symbolically, you know, will step forward into the future. It's a demographic thing. It's a new generation who has access to media outside state-controlled one-channel TV. It's a generational shift. Okay.
And maybe that's Navalny's spirit as well. Navalny and spirit pulling levers and stuff from the other side. That's
might be very more effective.
Yeah, that's
but
another
I think
thing.
We also have to remember in terms of famous political prisoners. And I remember being very moved when Nelson Mandela took great pains to say, after 27 years in Robben Island, incarcerated, he said, I was supported by the whole world. I want to pay tribute to the others who were just as brave as me and did sentences as long, who didn't have that public support.
Yeah. So interesting. And also as well, the symbolic nature of what Navalny can turn into is not lost on Putin, by the way. It
Totally.
isn't. It's not lost on Putin. He really, this was dreadful. Whatever happened, it went badly wrong because it's all the wrong narratives. We all know he's going to win the elections. He's, you know, they're stamping the ballots himself. You know, it doesn't matter. We all know who's going to win, but no leader of particularly of his persuasion wants the whole world focused on his rival, martyred, just before he's about to have it. It's just devised common sense.
Sorry, it just occurred to me this could be the martyr card in this context. You said the word.
Yes.
The willing sacrifice.
The willing sacrifice, yes, absolutely, Lena. Yeah, because that's one of your interpretations of the card and makes total sense, doesn't it? And I've pulled, and guess what? Reversals again. So I'm just going with it. So how would this impact the elections and all of this kind of stuff? Will it become a new movement? So here's Putin, most displeased. I think you can see.
We got him both ways.
Yeah, exactly. We got him both ways. Most displeased. Because cups, of course, are all about emotions. Now, most of the time, when we're reading on Putin, it's normally the smug merchant the right way up, because he's pulling all the strings, you know, getting people to fall out of windows, you know, sprinkling Novichok, you know, being his usual wicked self. But this time, genuinely, guys, this is really, he's like, obviously he doesn't regret what he's done, but he's seeing the ripple effect. And he's not sure, you know, what to do about it. Either way, he is very upset, because normally this is a card of wish fulfillment and pleasure, and obviously it's reversed. I think the interpretation is very clear. If we look here in terms of a movement or something like that, yeah, now this is really interesting, and I think, you know, Lena's onto something here. What this is the slow burn card, isn't it? It's the slow burn card. So is Putinshka going to be booted out of office, you know, dragged out by his coattails, you know, by, you know, the babushkas of the, Moscow? You know, probably not. But I have a feeling this is a slow simmer and burn, because Putin understands something very important. You can kill people, you can't kill ideas. And it's just, oof, you know, the timing of this. So I think this is almost like the quiet resolve. This, of course, can also speak about the mercenary as well. But I think this is about the determination of the movement against Putinshka, because it's turned up in the obstacle position. Look at this. Nightmare. Nightmare. I think this has affected him really quite a lot. He's like, no, my gosh, I feel like I'm back to square one. I was just being really successful with my brainwash, getting all those useful idiots to dance to my tune, and everyone's realized I'm the bad guy all over again. Yeah. More disappointment. Yeah. More disappointment here. I think this is a lot of Putin's emotions, but this is also, I think, the Russian people as well, just at the sad desolation of it all. But if we look here, we have got the Four of Pentacles in reverse. Putin, of course, is going to try desperately to hold on. When the card is this way up, you know, you're looking after your, you know, your resources, your finances and stuff, trying to play it safe. Here it's miserly. Yeah, we know, look, he's one of the richest men in the world. He doesn't have to worry about money. I think this is more about his political cohesiveness, his image, how he comes across, because that Navalny death has really, I mean, everyone knows he's wicked, but the fact that you had thousands of people turn up for his funeral and actually openly declare for Putin to be gone and Russia to be rid of Putin was really quite something. And the police didn't arrest them either.
Yeah, it was extraordinary. And someone commented there's millions of people in Moscow and only a few thousand went. You've got to realize the risk each person there took to lay a flower, let alone speak. And the penalties, I was reading recently, range, if they prosecute them later, which is why they might do that, is between a fine and 15 years jail for attending the funeral. So that's why you didn't get 2/3 of Moscow turning out. Also, there are people who support Putin. There's a generation who think he represents stability and stuff. It's not that everyone in Russia hates Putin. That would be a mistake. My argument is it's a generational thing.
Yeah, generational thing. And you know, and there are, let's not forget, I mean, we see the movement in politics all around the world. There are a lot of people that are rather fond of strong men. It's the idea hasn't quite gone out of fashion
No.
just yet. So we'll see. And we'll try and squeeze in one for a Don Jr. as well, for a little bit of levity at the end, if we can. We have got 1,487 of you are joining us live right now. So
Great,
thank you so much.
guys.
We really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, all the likes and stuff like that. And let me just give Lena a little plug here as well. If you'd like to subscribe to Lena's channel, she is in the video description as well. And if you'd like to support HoGaLe's, of course, you can subscribe here as well. And if you can't afford a donation, watch an ad. Yeah, count to 11 and then click off. Yeah, it really does help. Now, Lena, we're going into, this might be a little bit of a boomerang move for you here, but we're going into our esoteric aeroplane and we're flying to Australia.
Oh, no, I never get a break. Okay, go on.
This one is just interesting. I just thought, you know what, I've got to throw this Lena's way. So anyway, this is all over Aussie news. You've probably heard of this already, Lena, but I doubt if the rest of the world has. But according to the High Court in Australia, High Court said the QLD vaccine mandates at the time of lockdown have been...
That's Queensland. It's a state. QLD.
Oh, Queensland, QLD, of course. Okay, so High Court in Queensland, forgive me, I didn't understand the abbreviation when I was looking at the news. So they've said the mandates that they passed at the time for frontline workers, it has been ruled as unlawful, which is, wow, that's quite something. So I wanted to see, will this lead to compensation? What will happen?
We'll see. Okay, let's have a look.
And the whole tone and timbre of Aussie news is completely different, folks.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how to describe it, but it's very different.
It is different. It is different. Okay. Yeah. Sport on the front page. You know. Okay, so this is Queensland.
Sporting nation to the end.
And I'm from Queensland.
Oh, I forget. Yeah.
Yeah. So I grew up in a police state. It was a completely repressive police state then. Now it's part of the modern world, allegedly.
Well, was the main police person, that lady, she's in for the most shtick.
And yeah, she handled it all really badly. But okay, so this is a retrospective, yes, of regulations that were brought in that frontline workers had to be vaccinated. Yeah.
Yes, it was mandated. Yeah, and it's been ruled as illegal.
Yeah, we will. So this is the case going forward. This is someone speaking up, or even both sides putting their cases with this speaker. Okay, King of Cups, I would say, is probably a fusion of authority figures who were in uncharted waters. That could have been the Premier at the time, plus the Health Minister, something like that. They were in uncharted waters. They didn't know what to do.
Oh, look at that, the moon.
Right, with this moon card. Then the Magician. So I think I'll put these together because I think they speak to each other. Two major arcanas. So I think the Magician took the decision, looking at the stats at the time, and made that decision that all frontline workers had to be vaccinated. Wanting, actually, because of the Empress not wanting it to spread and expand. I think it was done in good faith. Here, I think this is in good faith, but did they go too far? So the last card I got was the Lovers. I think it won't be a judgment that's totally one side or the other. I don't think it'll be a victory for was it illegal, and I don't think it's a victory for what they did. They probably wouldn't do it the same ever again. So some sort of understanding emerges from it, that people will not tolerate now a blanket thing like that you all have to be vaccinated or you lose your jobs. Right?
Yeah.
In Victoria, where I now live, we had a much stricter lockdown than Queensland did.
Really?
Yes, we had the strictest lockdown in the world for the longest time in the world. And that hasn't translated into court cases. So I think this will lead to an understanding that in the future it'll be, you are advised in terms of public health, you are advised to get this thing, but I don't think they'll enforce it.
Very interesting. And I've got interesting cards, more reversal. I don't know what's happened to my cards tonight.
No,
but, it's sometimes it's just like that. I think it's just one of those nights. I've been pulling
and
these.
It's saying something in itself.
Yeah, in of itself. Everything I've pulled is been reversals, and we are at 1648. Oh my goodness. Thank you guys for being here. So here we go. As you know, we just read the cards, guys. We just read the cards and we just dive in. So if we look here, we got the card opposite of celebration and happiness. A lot of people are pissed off. A lot of people did lose their jobs and stuff. I remember there was stuff like no jab, no job, and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, really, what, you're sacking people, and there's supposed to be frontline workers helping everyone out, and you're sacking them at the same time. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Getting rid of medical staff in the middle of a pandemic. But anyway, whatever. So so there are a lot of people. I mean, just. This is when it's the right way up. We know this is celebration and stuff like this. This is general malaise, discontent, unhappiness, opening the doors at the party, letting the cold air come in. Yeah, it's true, isn't it? I mean, if we look here, I think this is the Queensland police force kind of dealt quite a mortal wound. Obviously they still have a pulse, they're still walking around, but the judge, didn't hold back, and obviously he's ruled against them. But also as well, I think, just to echo like what Lena's saying, this card is also a card of reflection. And if we look at it this way, this can mean deep reflection as well, past errors, past mistake, the things that went wrong in battle, because this is a card of also being wounded in battle. If we look here, there's going to be hard work going on here to either restore reputations, but I also think as well that this could be the determination of the workers. This is a working card after all. It does mean hard work, effort, putting forth, studying, researching and stuff like that. So I'm not sure we're going to hear the end of this. What I heard, one class action lawsuit, it's got 78 people in it, and there's some others as well. So I think they're lining up. Let's put it that way. They're very determined. They're lining up. If we look here, look at this, Lena. I get the same card as you, but look, reverse. So there is that element there. People may be losing their bearings, getting lost in the moment, maybe getting swept up in the motions of the moment. Let's not forget as well, part of the shadow of the water cards can be irrationality or clouded judgment, responding emotionally rather than scientifically to a situation. So it suggests there's quite a bit of that. In the end, of course, people are going to try and move on to smoother waters and that stuff as well. So it's probably going to pass. I would imagine that they're probably going to get some kind of compensation, and then those the authorities are probably hoping that's probably going to be the end of it, I would imagine, and things move to smoother waters. So I think they're probably going to get a bit of compensation, and then everything will calm down. But there's certainly be a reassessment of how to do things in the future. I think that's fair enough, isn't it, Lena?
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. I think if it was lawsuit the other way. If they'd let unvaccinated frontline workers, there'd be a bigger class action that would cause more friction now, because you can argue both ways. And I think it's better to let sleeping dogs lie and just move on.
Yeah, see where it goes from there. And if anyone's interested in links and stuff, I've got some links in the description below if you want to see the little news article for yourself. Right. Oh, I've just realized what question number 5 is. All right, get your paper bag, get your sick bag ready, Lena, because we do have to go UK Royals. Sorry.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
I told you
Kate's gynecology. Spare me.
No, it's not actually. This is a bit of a wider.
Okay.
It's a wider question and stuff like that. And actually, I tried to stay out of it for a while, but last week I had to put my 6p worth in, and I did the Vedic, looking at her chart from the Vedic perspective. So I'll be doing William next, which is the next logical. I'll be releasing that. And then I'm going to do Diana, because they're all connected. You can see them all in each of those charts. Yeah, and I've not done Diana yet, actually. This will be my first time.
As you all know, I'm not a fan of the royals in any way. However, I didn't even realise to this week how long it is since Kate's been seen. I actually didn't realise that. Because I see a headline and I immediately move on. I was shocked.
Yeah. She's not been seen since Christmas.
Since December last year.
Yeah. And I read her chart, and it connected with a lot of people, actually, that video. But there was a lot that was revealed there. Let's put it this way. So this is coming from ZZ. I think it's just ZZ, and then there's all these other little kind of letters there. But let's say this is coming from ZZ. So she says, hi, Hoagie and ladies. This week, there appears to have been a suicide in the British royal family, which is extremely controversial. I don't know if you know this, Lena, but tragically, the husband of the... so basically, the Duke and Duchess of Kent, who are the Queen's cousins, their daughter... her husband sadly committed suicide and was found in the family home. It's really, really, really tragic. I think some people have been reading on it, but I'm just like, oh, it's too soon. Anyway, and so she's saying here, it feels that we are seeing a complete destruction of the monarchy as we've known it. So let's not forget Pluto in Capricorn, folks. Oh, look at Lena's glasses. She's doing. But, you know, as you know, I've been saying it ad nauseum, but we can see the manifestations of it. Capricorn deals with institutions of all kinds as well. So it's not just government, it's not just business, it's top-down structures, hierarchy, traditions. The old way of doing things is very much Capricorn. And we've got Pluto there, which does what? Blows it. It's the god of the underworld coming in and just shaking the foundations. And of course, the royal family have been a symbol of the establishment. We're talking for many hundreds of years, of years. So, so she said, it feels that we are seeing the complete destruction of the monarchy as we know it. The British identity is deeply embedded in the monarchy and has felt special because of it. And I wanted to ask, what impact would this archetypal death have on the UK's future and its self-esteem on the world stage? Wow, that's a great question. What the financial benefits the monarchy brings through tourism, etc.? I mean, that's a great question, isn't it?
Yeah.
What impact will this archetypal death have on the UK's future and its self-esteem on the world?
Let's have a look. Are we seeing the end of the monarchy?
Whoa, huge question when I reflect on it.
Yeah, we'll have a look here. As my old dad used to say, they haven't worked for 1,000 years.
I'm not going to challenge you on that one, Lena. And we'll bring forward a Don Jr. question for a little bit of levity.
Oh, yes, please.
At the end.
Okay, so we're essentially looking at the immediate future of the monarchy.
Yeah. What's going on with them? Is it all really falling apart, or is it a blip? Let's have a look. We get the Tower card and stuff like that, then you know, guys, it's probably not so hot. Let's have a look.
Yeah, look, I don't get the Tower card or anything else. I think look, tarot's not marvelous with timing. So I think in a way this is responding to, I'd say, the next couple of years, right? As opposed to 50 years, right?
Yeah.
So I think they'll come through this series of battles, all right, but don't forget, with the Six of Swords, the swords are still in the boat, right? So at this stage, people revere the institution, even though the players might be falling over in different ways. The institution still has this stranglehold on the psyche of Brits. Well, not all, obviously. But I think there's a lot of confusion now there wasn't before. Whereas before it was unquestioning, particularly in England, because for obvious reasons, Scotland, Wales and Ireland aren't as pathologically attached to this ancient institution. So that'll carry it through. There'll be confusion, and then there will be some clarity around it. They might have to revamp what they do around money, because as it is, they own more land than anyone else in the UK, and monarchists don't think in terms of that. You know, the Duchy of Cornwall, the Prince of Wales, you know, they're seen as quaint old titles, when in fact each of those represents land ownership, right? So I think the cost...
Organic, though, organic and sold in Waitrose.
Oh, only in the last 40 years, and only this much of it. The point is the revenue they get from this land. But I think this is a two-way thing. They also, with this Queen of Pentacles, they also generate an immense amounts of money for the UK. So it's like that. But they're becoming a bit of a burden because of the bad behaviour. It's also a different, and I think weeping about the end of the monarchy, I don't think it's going to happen in the next 5 minutes, but it is becoming a burden. It's a bit like a major version of Monaco remember when the princesses, Stephanie, and they kept running off with circus acrobats and things and embarrassing the royals. I think, you know, it's like that.
Oh, my God. Sorry, no. Remember, Lena's no royalist, folks. So she's as irreverent as ever.
However, I think this is at the heart of it, which is much more stable. I think it'll be around for a while yet. Probably not beyond William.
Yeah, that's a good point. And one thing I should add as well. I think most British folks will know this, but the international folks maybe not as much. Even though, so basically the UK is a constitutional monarchy, they don't technically have political power, but the monarch is the head of state. However, the power of the actual head of state and the monarchy does not actually reside within the monarch. It actually resides in the crown. It's actually the crown jewels are said to hold the gravitas of the actual monarchy. Everyone knows, of course, The Crown on Netflix, but there's a very famous line in that, which is that the crown always wins. And it was really interesting because, as you know, I went to see the Queen when she was lying in state and stuff like that. And let me tell you, there's some very powerful magic there. When you actually walk past, you feel it. You feel it, and it's something.
Well, yes, all those beautiful jewels that were stolen from India.
Well, yes,
India wants them back, but we won't go into that discussion. A dreadful collection of jewels, but I don't doubt what you're saying, which is it is immensely powerful.
It really is, and you do feel it because it's the hundreds of years of ceremony and blah 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 in those jewels. And just so you know, that Kohinoor diamond that is in the crown jewels, it can only be cleaned by women, by the way. Do you know that?
No.
Because of the curse. Oh, do you not know that? Because of the curse on it. Men,
I love that.
to this day, at the Tower of London, men are not allowed to clean that particular crown. Horrible things happen to them. Anyway, so royal family, and then we'll end on a bit. Oh, look, we've already gone over, but we'll end on a bit of levity. So here, look, they're still going to be trying to come out with their lover's message. Yeah, Kate's okay, Kate's okay, or Catherine's fine, but we all know, yeah, maybe not. But they have to keep the romance up because it is part of British mythology. It is.
Absolutely.
You know, and they do bring money in. So as much as Lena would love to have them jettisoned off to some kind of place, people do also have to balance up the fact of, yes, there's outgoings, but there's also income as well. You know, makes sure those palaces real, doesn't it? And they bring in billions and do the sweetheart deals with all sorts of other royal families and big business and stuff like that. Still a big draw, especially when Diana was alive. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
When we look here, we have the King of Pentacles. So yes, it as an institution for facilitating wealth in the economy and stuff like that, it will still play an important role. However, yes, there's kind of like little spies in the camp. This can also be the Page of Swords, can also be what the Page of Gossip as well. So obviously there's still going to be speculation, gossip about what is actually going on. But after everything, they're going to try and charge back out. Obviously, they're going to try and recoup, gather back their health, and then go on the front foot, because they're certainly on the defensive right now. Because, you know, Kate has not been seen for a long time, and they keep saying, "Oh, she's doing fine," and it's like, anyway, there's that. So that's my 6 pence worth. Let's end on a bit of levity. So Nicola has asked the question. Let me know if you know anything about this, Lena. She says, there's been quite a few reports that white powder has been sent to several involved in numerous trials. So this must be, of course, Dr.Lena's trials. However, one news title has written that Don Jr. sent envelope with white powder. And then, but Nicola says, now that can read two ways. So do the cards show whether it was sent independently of him, or that he sent the white powder? It could prove interesting, as he's not the smartest one in the group. So did Don Jr. send white powder, or did
was it his own white powder that he put in an envelope to go to the party, and some aide sent it off?
That's the way I'm thinking. He's like, oh, don't. I sent the wrong thing. And then we'll see what Shakespeare thinks of Don Jr.
Don Jr. Oh, that's gold. Okay, so Don Jr., did he send the white powder?
Yeah.
Was it his own cash?
Accidentally sold
a security ruckus? Oh my God. Have you guys seen Succession? I'm just saying to viewers as well, if anyone's seen Succession, which is loosely based on the Murdochs, but it could just as easily be, you know, the Trump kids.
It's supposed to be really good
series. Okay, yeah. Don Jr. and the white powder.
God, more references. What do you have, Lena?
Well, I don't know. Look, you've got to laugh. This could be, what is this card? It's I get a couple of sixes here. This is the 6 of Swords and the Six of Wands,
Oh.
trying to get away, literally swimming from this accusation and chewing on the finger. Oh no, people have found out of something, or think it's me. Here he is saying, I think not to legal people. This is him within the family going, no, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I don't get anything that he did do it. But the story has taken hold. So he's like, first he's doing this, and then he's going, I told you it wasn't me.
Bless. Bless.
I love this.
I love this. That is so funny. That is so funny.
What did you get?
I mean, I've got a ton of reversals again. Here we are. So what's this? Seven of Pentacles in reverse. So this is the spoilt harvest. Yeah, this is the spoilt harvest. So if this was his plan, it certainly backfired. Big time. It hasn't really worked. At all. But Don Jr. is not liking the options on the table right now. He's having a few challenges, isn't he? Because even though, I mean, look, he's faced quite a few millions of fines himself. And, I doubt, daddy's going to be dipping into his pockets to bail out his son. Do you know what I mean? Because he's got enough money troubles of his own. So I think he's not liking the options on the table. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But, I think he's quite discombobulated in general. He's been avoiding the truth for the longest time, which is, it's just not looking good. Trying to make choices, trying to make decisions, maybe not making the right decisions. I think the whole kind of this fine that Dr.Lena has faced, because some people are saying, well, Jared Kushner is going to bail him out. But what you got to understand is billionaires don't have that much liquid cash. They have shares, they have assets, they got all these different kind of things. They don't necessarily have $500 million in liquid cash. So I think this is also kind of Don Jr., not being sure what to do, which way to turn, what decision to make, and maybe avoiding some obvious things, trying to bring balance to it all, a bit of temperance. Did he send the power? I doubt it. I think this is much more about his internal world. I think this is what Lena and I are picking up on, just him trying to recalibrate. How am I going to pay my fines and my money? And I think these are private family conversations. And then you see here the justice card reversed, which means getting the book thrown at you. So it's just really, he's got so many legal troubles, the whole family has. And I think this is his private expressions of frustration rather than actually sending powder to the courts. But, a bit of entertainment. Shall we see what Shakespeare thinks before we close?
Yes, we have to. We've got requests.
Yes, we're running
Just
over.
before we do that, Cece says, I refuse to watch Succession because it's about the Murdochs and we're in the living hell in the US about it. No, exactly it. It is saying how poisonous they are behind the scenes. You still might not want to watch it, but trust me, it's not a rah-rah movie for the Murdochs. It's very well written, and these are obscene people. Wow. So that's not the context of Succession. Yeah.
All right.
It's absolutely brutal. Okay, really? Are we doing Don Jr.?
Yeah, Don Jr. Let's see what Shakespeare thinks of Don Jr. Tell me where to stop and we'll get the bard to close.
Ready, stop.
All right, let's have a look. This is from Macbeth. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah. And then on the other page it says, there's a man hath more hair than wit.
Oh.
From A Comedy of Errors. I think that really sums up Don Jr., isn't it? Because we know
it does. It so does.
Yeah. There it is. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Macbeth. And then there's a man there's a man hath more hair than wit, comedy of errors. There you are. Enough there from the bard. We have to close. We've gone way over. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thoughts and prayers, of course, to Lady G. Let's hope she makes a speedy recovery. And we will see you next week. Thank you for everyone who's donated, gave questions. So we can ask them all. Happy Sunday to everyone as well. Thank you so much. And please don't forget to like and subscribe to support HoGaLe's. And if you'd like to support Lena's channel as well, she's in the description below. And then keep a watch out for I've done an Elon Musk archetype. So I'll release that tomorrow. I'll be doing William in terms of the astrology. And then I think I'll do Diana as well at some point, even though Lena's stomach is turning slightly. But anything else you want to say before we go?
Full marks to Diana. May she rest in peace.
Indeed. All right. Bye-bye now for everyone. And we will see you soon. Happy Sunday as well for those watching on Sunday. Bye-bye for now. Cheers.
Ciao.